Going to keep going with the series, What If? How many of you have found so far this sort of series been a bit of a challenge for you? Yeah? Good, me too. You know, so it's interesting when you prepare a message like this about this sort of series, you actually, how about ladies, we put our phones away right now, unless we're taking notes, which I haven't spoken about yet, you're flat out, you know. So Pokemon doesn't exist in here, right? Yet, you know. So, you never know. No, we have requested one, but we'll see what happens.
I found a Pikachu!
All right, so the challenge for us is in doing any of these assets is that you actually have to walk it out. You actually have to, we always talk about in our leadership team, you can't lead from where you haven't been. No point talking about something if you haven't actually done the journey. So, and there's plenty of people in this world who'll tell you how to do something, but actually can't live it out. How many of you experience people like that? They say, this is what you should do, you know, and you go, really, is that how you did it? You go, well, actually, I've never really done that, you know. It's like somebody who's a smoker telling you to quit, you know, it's like, you know. Hang on, shh. Sorry?
It's the same thing like you go to buy a car, everyone automatically knows what they're on about.
Yeah. So there's a guy I'm on plenty of these Harley Davidson Facebook pages because I've got a Harley. And hey, don't mock me. We're going to take everyone for rides pretty soon when it gets a bit warmer. Yeah. But this guy on this Facebook page says today, I'm looking at buying a Road King or a Dynaglide. You know, what does everyone think? And what do you reckon my response on Facebook was? Really? Really? You're going to ask that question of the world, you know? So, you know what you do? You find out for yourself and you actually go after it and you buy the bike you want for you. So, tonight, does anybody want to share anything that we've happened over the past kind of few weeks in the What If series that you've been personally challenged with that you think, yeah, you know what? I'd like a moment to sort of share that.
Last name was Schroeder.
Don't know.
What if I found a Pikachu?
What if you found a Pikachu? Yeah, you know, and the council, the Yarra Rangers Council is very appreciative of Pokemon being over at the lake right now because their revenue has gone through the roof in parking fines for people parking all in the wrong spot. Yeah. So what if you found one? Cost you $90 just to find a Pikachu, eh?
Pikachu's actually on useless.
Great. Yeah, I don't really get into the Pikachu craze, you know. I don't really However, here's a little fact for you. We were talking in the business group last week, and was it 600% his business had gone up. One of the guys put a Pokestop outside his business, and his turnover went up 600% in 2 weeks. He sold candles and incense and things like that, and because the Pikachu was parked out the front, everybody went, oh, candles, you know. And smart business person, very, very smart, 600%, so not bad. Anybody else? Yeah. Shh, this is the time to listen, guys.
Hasn't actually been just in the series. Over the course of about 12 months, I've had this returning picture that's been in my grandparents' will, and because of family drama, I've had such confliction over what happens if I let it go, and I've let it go 3 times, and it's still come back again. So I've made the decision to actually go grab it.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. What if it actually came back to you? And it has. So that's rad. Yeah, that's always hard, you know.
Around until
Yeah, being haunted by a photo.
Haunted by a photo. That's all good. Okay. So tonight we're going to just spend a few moments in talking about what if, and I want you to pay attention for you tonight. What if you changed? What if you changed? Just where you are, who you are, in what you're doing in your life, whether it's positive or negative, what happens if you change? What if you changed? Now I've got 4 tips for you tonight. You're going to encounter if you choose to change.
Is this your first time?
Goddamn. What if you change? Is this your first time?
What if this is the first time you changed? You know, so let's try that. It adds value. So here's step number 1. If you're thinking that you want to change, right? What if I changed? What if I changed something about me? What if I've changed my friendship circle? What if I changed my school? What if I changed part of who I am? What if I changed? Let me give you 4 tips on what will happen to you. And this stuff, some of this stuff you're going to find that's going to be hard because some of you might be someone, thank you, Becca. And step 1, let the truth be your guide. What I mean by that is sometimes when we make a step to change, I don't know if you've ever been like this, but you've gone from maybe one school to another school, one job to another job, or one friendship circle to another friendship circle. They don't really know you, they don't really know what you're about, and you put on this pretend person, you know, or this, yeah?
I moved school recently and I sort of did that day 1 and I was like, hang on, no.
Yeah, so, you know, let the truth be your guide. What I mean by that is let who you are, the true you, be the guide, rather than try and put somebody else on, because what happens is, if you put somebody else's personality on, or if you put on a persona, it takes so much energy to actually keep that and maintain that. Yeah.
I've been to that school for 3 years, and then I changed to that school, and I was in there for a week and a half, and then I went back, and then I went to the school's equivalent of a year, and then failed that year, and then went back to the school that I went to for the second time.
I'm already dizzy.
Yeah.
I'm already dizzy with that. Is there a point? Tell me your point.
I almost got suspended for defending myself against a bully. Well, no, I did get suspended, and I almost got...
What? So did you change who you were in school?
I think I need to bring up the recliner and sit down and have a coffee while you're telling me the story. What's this point? Tell me the point. What if?
Basically, I've changed every time I've been at the school. The first school, I was Christian and non-baptized.
Nice.
The second school, I was a rowdy teenager. The third school, I was smoking pot like all the rest of them.
Not a good school to be at then.
No, not really.
Pop school. No, I don't like pop school.
No.
Nice. We're just going to pause on the rest of those stories right now. You know, we're going to get up here and share it out, you know. So, you've done a lot of what you've changed.
Yes, a lot of things.
Good stuff. So, back to the point is that let truth be your guide. One of the hardest things we can do in our life right now is actually, at your age, you're so manipulated by friendship circles and pressure, is to actually be the true you. So if you could get to a point where you're okay about who you are, no matter what environment you are just you. You ever had someone say to you, you are the same, that person, or you are the same at this environment or that environment and that environment? Has anybody ever heard you say that? Yeah? I've had that said to me a lot. People say to me, oh, is Phil always like the Energizer Bunny? You know, always like that. Now, I'm always like that. There's only a few times, like on Saturday, I think I stepped outside for 5 minutes to work on my postie bike and went back inside and watched movies for the rest of the day, you know, because it was like one of those retreat moments where I just needed to, you know, watch movies for the rest of the day. And Superman and Batman was on, so whatever. Anyway, so speak the truth. The challenge with it is, what if it costs me? What if it costs me to speak the truth? There have been many times in my life where I have been confronted in a situation where I've lied. Where I've had to lie. Well, not had to. I thought, I better lie because I might get in more trouble if I don't lie. Huh? And the crazy part is, when I told a lie, I actually had to then try and figure out how to actually make this lie work. And it actually took more energy to make this lie work over and over. And the bigger the lie got, the harder it was to manage, because I figured I had told this person this thing, and then I had to try and remember what it was I told that person. See, whereas if you just tell the truth is not hard to handle. It might cost you to tell the truth. It may cost you. But the lie is worse. So, the first step, if you want to change, is be a person that's absolutely committed to you being the truthful person you are, the true you. How many of you in the room, if you are courageous enough to say, I haven't yet figured out who I am? Yeah.
And I'm keeping it there.
Yeah. That's a hard journey, isn't it? You know, because sometimes... And we're back. Nice. So, number 2. That journey alone could take you your entire life. Because there are seasons that happen in your life that actually change who you are. You might lose your job, change school, your family might change, you might get unwell, and so these different things happen to you in your life that might alter who you particularly are at times, and you haven't quite figured out what's your why. Why am I here? Why am I alive? When I was 14, I knew my why. I'd had a moment in my life where I just figured out why I was alive. Absolutely, utterly never changed from the day I was 14 years old. I've done a heap of things in my life. I'm now 50. And since I was 14, I just knew my life was dedicated to young people for the rest of my days. I just knew it at 14 years old. Absolutely convinced. So I found out my why. That doesn't mean I didn't have moments of confusion. Moments of like, am I really this person that wants to do this for the rest of their day? So you may have figured it out early in your life and got a bit lost. You will come back to it because it is your why. It's why you're here. So, number 2. This is a tough one. Cut the cord. And that doesn't mean the umbilical cord from your parents, although because you're a little bit small. I did that for both my children. What a funny story. I'll tell you a gross story. Do you want a gross story? Ah, of course, we always like a gross story. Yeah, don't eat your Subway during this conversation, I can assure you, right? So, I turn up at the hospital, the wife is, bulging. I say, what is this all about? This looks easy to me, like, not a good thing to say when your wife's pregnant, but, anyway. As I was figuring out what was going on here, the midwives came in, the gynaecologist hadn't arrived yet. And I figured, this train's coming into the station quicker than the gynae's going to get here. So the midwife said to me, would you like to deliver your child? And I said, sweet! Wife's at the other end looking at me. And I said, lucky I had the mother-in-law, Just pulled the mother-in-law in front of me, put her in front of the wife, it was all good. I'm down the action end, right? And so I've got the catcher's mitt on, I've got the shield up, I'm going, right, bring it at me. Anyway, this baby eventually pops out, but it's still attached, I know, it's awesome. And I'm thinking, this thing's still attached. Anyway, the lady says to me, the midwife says to me, long story short, she says to me, now if you've ever seen an umbilical cord, it's kind of like bulgy, right? Like this. It's kind of got swell points and then low points and swell, so it looks like it looks like a plastic tube with Jaffas in it or something, whatever. You're never going to eat Jaffas the same way. So, especially if they come in the tube. Umbilical anyone? So anyway, the point is this. Here's my point. So the midwife says to me, would you like to cut the cord? And I said, sweet. They've got a suture on there and they give me this pair of scissors. And I go, yeah, no worries. So I grab hold of this thing, and I go, oh, this is nasty, and I go to cut it. As I go to cut the cord, both of the midwives go, do this. And I went, oh, I see what this is. This is one of those midwife jokes, where the umbilical blood goes all over the new dad, and I go, oh, you so-and-so. So I just lean back, cut the cord, it's all good, right? It does its thing, whatever it does. And I've got my son there. And so the point of the story is...
Sorry, who's lucky here?
The point... She gets around. It's like a Pikachu, it just disappears. And winds up over there. So here's the thing. When you cut the cord, it disconnects that stream of life that was going along there. Now for some of us, we have ties or cords or threads that have connected us to groups of people. When I first met my wife, when she was just this young hot thing that I wanted to go out with, I was hanging out with a group of guys that weren't so positive for my life. And I remember one day my mates came to me and they said to me, Phil, you either have to give up your girlfriend or you have to give us up. Well, it was a pretty clear decision for me. I gave up my mateship circle, the group of guys that I hung out with for 10 years. You have to cut the cord. For some of us, we are in situations right now that if you were to separate yourself from a particular environment of friends, that's going to be hard. But what if the options were more awesome? See, I've talked to plenty of young people who are caught up in the whole drug scene and all that sort of stuff, and even the clubbing scene. And I've said to them, what if you made a decision not to go there? What if you made a decision not to be around that group of people anymore? And one of the biggest challenges for them was this.
Do you like making new friends or not really?
Not really. So one of the biggest challenges for them was, well, where do I get new friends?
I was talking to Emily.
We got there. Anyway, the challenge is simply, if I leave this group of friends who I hang out with, know about, they know me, we all do this same sort of negative behaviour, if I was to cut the cord with these guys, who is going to be my friends? I'm a loner. I'm not going to have anyone. So they stay stuck with this group of people because they just feel like the fear of cutting that cord is just too much. So, here's the thing. Number 1, let the truth be your guide. Be the true you. Number 2, cut the cord.
What?
The reality is this. I want you to think about the 5 people that you hang around the most right now. The 5 people you hang out with the most.
Me, myself, and I.
Well, that's 3 of the 5. That's pretty good. That's not bad. Sometimes your own company's good. See,
Someone's
who
just
had
going me.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Top 5.
Wait, what are friends?
What are those things? I forgot.
What's a friend?
Yeah, one of your friends saying, thanks, Jack. You are, here's a statistic for you. You are the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. You are the average of those 5 people. And you say, no, I'm not. I'm way ahead of my friends. I can guarantee you're not. Because those 4 other people, 5 other people that are around you, help shape who you are. What you say, what you do, where you go, what you wear, what you listen to, those 5 people, even the phone you choose, all kinds of things, the movies you watch, those 5 people will determine who you are. You say, no, I'm the one that leads. Really?
Really? No.
Check it out. Check it out this week. When you hang out with your mates, see who influences who. Do you say the same phrases as those people you hang out with?
Heck yeah.
Do you have the same sort of mannerisms that that person has?
Hell no.
Hell no. Well, that's good. So, cut the cord.
No. That wasn't really that disgusting, actually. I thought it would be actually a lot worse.
Yeah, I was just
Coat hangers ruined childhood.
There was a whole lot of other stuff going on that I left out. There was one of those moments you had to be there. Trust me, you didn't want to be there. We didn't want a crowd. Now here's the thing. Number 3. Come on, we'll run out of time. Number 3. This is the 3rd thing that will help you change. What if I wanted to change? Remember what we're talking about. What if I wanted to change? The 3rd thing to do is to stand your ground. Now, I don't know how many times I've made decisions in my life and then made them over and over and over 1,000 times. And I'm thinking, I must be so weak. I must be so easily... Almost blew your face off, you know? Yeah. So here's the thing. We were talking about this in our leadership class today in relationship to shaking someone's hand. But here's a chemical response to your brain that I want to help you with. Whenever you make a decision about something in your life, this is the simple thing that you have to do. You make a decision about something, I can tell you this is how simple it gets. You can go to psychologists and psychiatrists, you can go to your doctor, you can be on medication. This is simply the one thing that will help you control your environment. She's having a party time tonight. Someone catch that. You know, so shh, girls. Hey, look at me. Look at me now. Yes. Got it. So, here's the thing. This is what I want you to do. Next time you make a decision about something, when you're in the middle of making that decision and you're uncertain, I want you to stand up. You don't have to do this now. I want you to stand up, whether it's in your room, whether it's in the kitchen, wherever you are, even if it's in the toilet. I don't care where you make your decision. I've made plenty of decisions in the toilet, and I've made plenty of decisions in the shower. You know, there are many times I've been in the shower and sort of thoughts have come to me about, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Here's the one thing you do. To figure this out. If you take one step forward, if you just take one step forward, it's a bizarre thing. If you take a step backwards when you make a decision, just in your physical being, it unlocks a psychological issue in your brain. If you step forward, it's not a trick. It is actually what happens. When you make a decision about something and you take one step forward, something in your brain locks that decision. Isn't it weird? Our brain is phenomenal. I love that I didn't have to go to psychology school to figure that one out. Someone just told me to take a step forward. Susan's got on her foot. What have you got on there? One step at a time, tattooed on her foot. And often that reminds her that just one step. And that's an interesting thing that she's got tattooed on her foot, because that's actually what happens. When you make a decision, if you want to change something, what if I changed? What if this thing I stopped doing? What if I started doing that? What if I had this group of people? What if I changed my social group? What if I got off Facebook for a little while? What if? Make a decision about that and just take one step forward. Just one step forward, and it will lock into your mind that decision-making process. I challenge you to do that this week. If you're facing a decision about something and you want it to change, whether it's friends, whatever, it's like you're making a statement when you step forward. So, now here's some of the phrases that will come at you when you make a stand. Trust me, I've had it's said to me 1,000 times. What's wrong with you? You've changed. I love that one.
I get that all the time.
You get that all the time?
Like, excuse me?
What isn't
But you find the interesting thing is that you've changed, as that once someone's saying it to you, it's a negative tone that they're using when they're saying it to you. You may have changed for a positive process in your life, a positive environment, and somebody will come up to you and say, oh, you've changed.
Someone said that to me and they were like, "Bitch, you've changed." And then they ended in friendship. And then they avoided me for the rest of their life.
Okay, I have lost plenty of friends and family members because I've changed.
Too many to count.
It's not easy. You're a bit younger than me, so part of me doesn't care anymore. Because I've seen for 3, 4, 5 decades people manipulate me to try and be something that I'm not. Very, very hard, guys, to actually stop being manipulated. I don't like this new person. Guilt trips, manipulation. They want to keep you back where you are because they can figure you out. You know, the bottom line is we are actually not responsible for keeping people happy or making people happy. Do you know when you ever say to someone, I just want you to be happy?
I've done that before.
Okay, I just want you to be happy. I'm just trying to make that person happy. Do you know the most ridiculous thing that we can do is try to make someone happy? Why is that silly?
Because you don't have control over it.
Bingo. Perfect response. You do not have control over that other person. Somebody said to me one time, I was at a seminar and they said, it was a mum, she was talking about her sons, and her son got caught up in the drug scene, got into jail, and she said to her son, I don't know who this person is. He rang to try and get her to pay bail to get him out of jail, and he says, I don't even know who this is because my son takes responsibility. He says, oh mum, I'm not happy. And he says, it's not my job to make you happy. It's my job to make you responsible. It's your job to make yourself happy. The challenge for us is we look for all kinds of things in our life to make other people happy. We're trying to make somebody else happy. They need to choose happiness to be happy. That's how it is. You can be happy around someone, you can have a fun time, you can do all that sort of stuff, but if someone is committed to being a sookie moper, a little dummy sucker, then they're going to be that for all the days of their life. Until they make a decision, I don't care whether you think this is harsh or not. I have tried for decades to make people happy. Decades. To make my mum happy. Now she's in a home. So I'm happy. No, hear me right, let me finish, right?
Get wrecked.
I'm happy because it was actually twisting me out of shape trying to make mum happy that I couldn't do it. I just physically, anybody that was in my office here would see, my mum would ring 14 times a day.
Wow.
No joke, you ask the staff, they'll tell you. They'll say it's your mum again. Note from your mum. I had them stacking up on my desk. It was like playing cards, you know. I could never do enough for my mum to make her happy, never. She got very, very unwell, and so my brother and I made a decision it was time for her to go into aged care. Best decision I've ever made, you know. Why? Because I've become happier and she's become happier.
And you don't get calls every
And I don't get calls. I hardly get your calls now. Now I have to make a decision. Oh, I've still got a mum, you know. So the challenge is, I'm only joking. Yeah, well, I'm not really. Okay. So, here we are. Stand your ground. People will try and manipulate you to come back, and you say, well, what if I was a different person tomorrow? What if? I wonder who would hang out with me. Now, don't test it unless you're prepared to take a step forward, because you will lose people. If you take a step forward and think, I wonder if I just test this, if I just did this thing on Facebook. Have you seen that thing where they put on Facebook, oh, no one will repost this kind of... That is crap. If you're reposting stuff, just stop doing it. It's manipulation. Right? It's just manipulation. Just as pure and simple, yeah, none of you would have the courage to put the repost this. Well, then don't post it. Just don't. I love it. I've had actual friends of mine, mature age people, send me stuff and say, Phil, would you like to post this in support? I said, no.
No.
Sure, of course. Number 4, we're going to finish off. Take care of you. Take care of you. Some of you sitting in this room have no idea how to care for yourself. None. You're wanting everybody else to care for you. But you have not taken the time to think, what do I need to do to take care of me? I have a friend of mine who's a musician. Every time he got out of sorts, I'd say to him, mate, have you played some music lately? And he goes, no, mate, I haven't had time. And I said, well, you need to find yourself on a mountain somewhere and you need to take your guitar with you and you need to go and play some music. He goes, you're right. She says, you're right. You take off 2 days, you'd be gone for 2 days, you come back and he's even his countenance would change because he was taking care of him. Music for him, getting away and just allowing chords and music and song to kind of permeate his soul was his thing that helped invigorate and re-vitalise him as a person, take care of you. I used to turn music on because I couldn't play musical instruments. I used to turn music on. Music was good for that, you know. Sometimes I used to go and eat. A lot, you know. And so, in closing, so we can get into our packs today, I want to encourage you that what if you were to change this week? What if you were to say, I don't want to be this person that I don't even know who it is. When you look in the mirror and you can't even figure out who this person is. When you're on Facebook and you think, oh, I'm feeling pretty low and I'm feeling pretty empty. I wonder if I could put a little provoking statement out there to make everybody feel like they love me. Don't do it. That just means that you're in an unsafe place in yourself.
Everyone ends up just laughing at you.
Yeah, well, okay.
What if you're trying to change yourself to the point where you've done it so fast that you've just gotten yourself into a turmoil?
Yeah.
You've moved out of home, you're in a situation where you've got relationship issues, money issues, no job, and you've just got yourself, and emotional as well as health,
Yeah.
and you just flat bottom.
That is a fantastic question. Fantastic question. The best thing often, I agree, too quick is too quick. It's like doing change on steroids, you know. It creates a crazy environment. If you do change, I've always recommended that you do it with mentors. Somebody that's walking alongside you that can almost set the pace, you know, that they're sort of supporting you and saying, let's change that, because I'm a quick change kind of guy. I like, I'm doing now, you know, and then I want to change 50 things in the one moment, and then I'll have someone come along and say, how about we change the 1? I said 5. He says 2. I say 4. You know, and he said, we do this thing, and then he ends up winning. He ends up winning on 2. You know, because I only realise I can manage 1 or 2 changes at any one time. Because what I have found is if I change a major thing in my life, all these other things change automatically, which is weird. I try and change all these things. It's like, you know, I become schizophrenic. You know, it scared you twice. That's awesome. And so, yeah. So the challenge for us is don't change too much too quick. Just take one thing this week. One thing. It could be the way that you use your Facebook. It could be simply the way that you have your friendship circles. It could be something about your job. It could just change one thing. But what if you did change and a whole new world opened out to you? Imagine how amazing that would be. Imagine the difference that you would be. How different you would be as a person. It takes great courage. And in closing today, I just want to encourage you. I'll put these 4 things up on our Facebook page. So number 1 is be true to you. You know. Number 2, cut the cords around people or things that you need to change. Number 3, stand your ground. That one thing. Step forward. One step. Just take one step when you make a decision. And number 4, take care of you in the process. So if you're trying to do all those things in one hit, it's going to be hard work. We're going to get into packs. Becca, over to you, mate.
2 seconds. Yeah, you can clap.